Hey, it's 4.3, Step 1, Poetry, Structure, and Form, the sonnet. Lesson objectives: students will be able to analyze structure and form in a sonnet. Question I want you to be thinking: what is the difference between structure and form? And I got these kitties to help us see the difference. This kitty, the X-ray kitty, is structure. The silhouette kitty is form. I'll talk more about that as we go. First of all, the sonnet form. What is a sonnet? Sonnets are short rhyming poems, normally of 14 iambic pentameter lines. Well, what the heck is iambic pentameter, you ask? It means that there are 5, that's where the penta comes from, iambs. What the heck is an iamb? An iamb is a foot or a bar, you could think of 2 syllables, the second of which is stressed. So my name is actually an example of an iamb. Michelle. The accent is on the second syllable. There's another name that's kind of a version of Michelle, but with the opposite structure, where the first syllable is accented. And this is, to me, the best way to understand accented syllables. It's how the word sounds different with similar types of words. So what is it? It's Michael or Mitchell. The first syllable is accented in that case, whereas in Michelle, the second syllable is accented. Hear the difference? Same thing with my middle name, Christine. What is the non-iambic version of Christine? Kristen. You hear the difference? Christine has the second syllable accented. Kristen has the first. All right, here's the first line of our poem, Remember, and we're just going to mark this one up according to accented syllables first, all right? So when you read the word remember, which syllable is accented? Remember. It's the second one. If it were a different syllable, it'd be something like remember. I don't know. Remember. I don't know how those words would sound because those words don't exist. So remember, me is the next accent. When I am gone, and then look at this last word, away. The second syllable is accented, away. Otherwise, it would sound something like awa, something. So now we can fill in the unaccented syllables, which we usually use a U for. Unstressed, unaccented. And then you see that we have our 5 iambs. Here's the first one, remember. Me is the next. When I is the third. Am gone is the fourth. And away is the fifth. All right, so a little bit about iambic pentameter. You don't need to know a ton of it, but felt like I better give you a definition here. All right, let's take a look at, I've got to exit drawing first. Oh, I swear. The sonnet form and structure, I guess. This is the difference between structure and form. So form relates to the external shape of a text. That's why we've got the silhouette of the cat, because we're looking at how it looks kind of from afar or at first glance without getting too deep into it. And when we think of a poem, this is how it's presented on paper in terms of how it's organized by stanzas, lines, syllables, rhyme, justification. That's the margin, if it's center margin or right margin or left margin. Best thought of as a silhouette. It's usually visible. Structure, though, goes beyond the visible. It's a matter of the internal development and relationship between parts, displaying the organic relationship between ideas, feelings, and attitudes within a text. So we really have to look inside the poem. We have to read it and look at the connotations and denotations and all that good stuff inside the poem. For example, if the form of a sonnet is that it's 14 lines long, that it has an 8-line, 6-line division, its rhyme scheme also might fit there. Within that form, though, the structure may be 8 lines of description. That's what the 8 lines are about. We have to read that. We have to go deeper inside to understand that. Leading to 6 lines of reflection, generalization, or resolution. Again, we have to read it and look deeper to understand that that's what the content is, and how the organization of that content works is the structure. Maybe it's the tone that we're looking at and how the tone changes. That is a part of structure as well. It might go from neutral to somber, or from somber and resentful to acceptant. So these are all aspects of structure. Down here. All right, more on the sonnet form. There are 2 key different types of sonnets. One is Italian and one is English. So the Italian, also known as Petrarchan, is traditionally divided into an octet, which is the first 8 lines of the poem, and a sestet, the last 6 lines. It contains just 5 rhymes, and so here's the rhyme scheme of the octet: A, B, B, A, A, B, B, A. There's more than one possible rhyme scheme for the sestet, but it's one of these 4. Unlike the English sonnet, it never ends with a couplet. What's a couplet? It's 2 lines that rhyme with each other side by side. So traditionally, the octet contains a statement or description of a problem, situation, or event, and then the sestet provides a response or resolution to that situation. The English sonnet is a little bit different. The English sonnet, or Shakespearean sonnet, contains 7 rhymes, and it has this rhyme scheme ending with that couplet, the GG. It's traditionally divided into 3 quatrains, sets of 4 rhyming lines with a couplet at the end. The presence of the couplet at the end has a marked effect on sonnets that follow this pattern. The ending's usually emphatic. There's nearly always a break in the structure between the 3rd quatrain and the couplet. Some kind of change takes place there. The couplet itself, those last 2 lines, quite often has a crisp and pithy quality, summing up what has been said already or offering an ironic new reflection. And sometimes it follows the pattern of statement in the octave, the first 2 quatrains, followed by a response in the last 6 lines. All right, so let's take a look at Remember by Christina Rossetti. I'll read the poem and you can note the rhyme scheme and just tell me if this is Italian or English and why. Remember me, let me try that again. Remember me when I am gone away, gone far away into the silent land. When you can no more hold me by the hand, nor I half turn to go yet turning stay. Remember me when no more day by day you tell me of our future that you planned. Only remember me. You understand it will be late to counsel then or pray. Yet if you should forget me for a while and afterwards remember, do not grieve. For if the darkness and corruption leave a vestige of the thoughts that I had, better by far you should forget and smile than that you should remember and be sad. So you can see the rhyme scheme when you take a moment to figure it out. Looks like this. We don't have a couplet at the end, so that's your signal that it is a Petrarchan or Italian sonnet. Sonnets now are a little different than the old-fashioned kind. Rossetti's was written in the 19th century. How are they different? Well, they generally still have the 14 lines because that's sort of the signal that, hey, we got a sonnet coming. But they don't fit that rigid iambic pentameter, but they probably have about 10 syllables per line. They avoid the rigid rhyme scheme, but they probably have some rhyme. And the topics are often less lofty, like a cycler on a New York City street. Modern poets like to bend the rules as much as possible, so watch for any unusual lines, sentences, rhyme, and punctuation as you read the poems. The silken tent and the sonnet for the bicycle rider's leg, which are the should and aspire to do poems in this lesson. All right, so sonnet structure, what are you looking for? What is the poet's focus of attention? How is it organized? And knowing the format is going to help you to determine this. If you're looking for something like the octave and the sestet or that emphatic point in the couplet. Where are the transitions or changes? How is it divided up? Again, the format is, or the form is going to signal you on some of these, and some of them it won't. Some of them it will defy the traditional form. How is the stanza organized? How do the different parts relate to each other? Look at the structure of the sentences. That's the syntax and punctuation. Are there any unusually formed sentences? Any repetitions of certain syntactical structures? Are there examples of end stopping, enjambment, caesura? How do they affect the pacing of the poem, and which lines seem to attract the most attention? Lastly, how does structure relate to content? That's key in formalism, right? Structure often mirrors content. When it comes to form, just noticing that it's a sonnet is what you're looking for. And then maybe how it looks visually on the page and how it relates to the content. All right, that's what I've got for you for this. Enjoy reading and analyzing Remember, and there is another video about it that you can watch.